Have you ever stopped to think about what actually powers your body? I mean, really powers it? Well, it's not just the food you eat. It's hundreds of tiny engines all working together all the time. Today, we're going to take a look at this incredible muscular system. These engines that power literally everything you do, from running a race to something as simple as blinking your eyes. So here's our game plan. We'll start by meeting your body's amazing engines. Then we'll get into the 3 different types of muscles we all have. After that, we'll see exactly how they get you moving. We'll also figure out how to power them up and, of course, how to keep those engines healthy and running smoothly. All right, first up, let's meet your engines. Now, here's a cool thought. Even when you think you're being perfectly still, your muscles are hard at work. Right now, as you're sitting there, muscles are helping you breathe in and out. Your heart, which is a very special kind of muscle, is pumping blood through your whole body. And other muscles are working just to hold you upright. See? They never really stop. So, just how many of these little engines are we talking about? Well, get this. You have more than 600 of them. That is a massive team, all packed inside your body, ready to work together at a moment's notice. Okay, so over 600 muscles. That is a lot, which leads us to a pretty important question, right? What in the world do they all do? Well, they have a ton of different jobs. The most obvious one, of course, is that they move your body. But that's just the start. They're also what helps you breathe every single second. As we said, your heart is a powerhouse muscle that pumps your blood. Other muscles are busy pushing food through your stomach. They're even the reason you can smile. And when you're cold, it's your muscles that make you shiver to keep you warm. They are truly incredible. Now, not all engines are built the same, right? The engine in a race car is totally different from the engine in a giant airplane. Well, it's kind of the same with our muscles. We actually have 3 special types, and each one is perfectly built for a different job. So here they are: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. The biggest difference between them is actually pretty simple. Can you control them or not? Skeletal muscles are what we call voluntary. That means you choose when to move them. Like when you decide to kick a ball or wave to a friend. But smooth and cardiac muscles, they're involuntary, which means they work automatically. You don't have to think about making your heart beat or digesting your lunch, right? Your body just takes care of it for you. Pretty amazing. So let's zoom in on those skeletal muscles for a second. These are the engines behind all your big actions: walking, jumping, lifting, even just typing on a keyboard. They connect to your bones using these really strong, flexible cords called tendons. You can think of a tendon like a super strong rope that pulls on the bone and makes it move. Okay, so we've got the muscle engine and the tendon rope. But how does the engine even get the message to turn on? How does a simple thought in your brain like, hey, I want to pick up that bottle of water, turn into an actual movement? Let's break down how that happens. It all happens in an incredibly fast chain reaction. First, your brain sends out a signal. Second, your nerves, which are like tiny electrical wires, carry that message to exactly the right muscle. Third, the muscle gets the message and it contracts. That just means it gets shorter and tighter. And that contraction pulls on the tendon. Finally, that tendon pulls on the bone and the bone moves. And all of this happens in less than a blink of an eye. Now, here is probably the most important rule you need to remember about how muscles work. They only pull. They can never, ever push. Think about it like this. You can use a rope to pull a door open, right? But you can't push that door open with the same rope. It just doesn't work. Your muscles operate in exactly the same way. So if muscles can only pull, how do we do things like bend and straighten our arm? Well, it's simple. They work in teams. The muscles in your arm are the perfect example. To bend your elbow, your biceps muscle on the front of your arm pulls or contracts. And at the exact same time, the triceps muscle on the back of your arm relaxes. Then, to straighten your arm, they switch jobs. The triceps pulls and the biceps relaxes. They work together like partners, taking turns to create smooth, controlled movement. Okay, here's something that trips a lot of people up. What's the difference between a tendon and a ligament? They both connect things, but they have totally different jobs. Here's an easy way to remember it. Tendons connect muscle to bone. On the other hand, ligaments connect bone to bone. They're like the strong tape that holds your whole skeleton together at the joints. All right, so we know what muscles are, and we know how they work. Now, for the really fun part. How can we make these engines stronger? How do we power them up and make them perform even better? Now, this might sound a little strange, but getting stronger actually starts by breaking things down a tiny bit. When you exercise hard, you create these little tiny tears in your muscle fibers. They're called micro tears. You can't see them, but you can definitely feel them. You know that feeling of being a little sore the day after a good workout? That's it. That's the feeling of these micro tears. But it's actually a really good thing because your body then rushes in to repair them and it builds the muscle back even stronger than it was before. So, what's the secret recipe for getting stronger? Well, first, you gotta use resistance. That just means making your muscles work against something, like your own body weight when you do push-ups or squats. Then you wanna slowly increase that challenge over time. But the workout is only part of the story. You also need healthy food, especially protein, which gives your body the building blocks it needs to repair those muscles. And sleep. Sleep is so important. That's when most of the real repair work happens. And finally, you have to drink plenty of water. So you see, it's not just the workout, it's the fuel and the rest that truly makes you stronger. And finally, just like any important engine, our muscles need good maintenance. We gotta take care of them to keep them running well and to avoid injuries. So let's talk about the best ways to keep your engines healthy for years and years to come. Here are the golden rules for avoiding injuries. Number 1, always warm up. A good warm-up just means moving your body with things like a light jog or some arm circles. It gets the blood flowing to your muscles and gets them ready to work. Second, always use good technique. It is way better to do an exercise correctly with less weight than to do it wrong with a lot of weight. Third, you have to rest. Giving your muscles about 48 hours to recover after a tough workout is so important for preventing injuries. And last but not least, always cool down with some gentle stretching. It just helps your muscles relax and recover. So, out of those 3 muscle types, which one do we have the most of? Well, it is not even close. The vast majority of our 600+ muscles are skeletal muscles, the ones you actually control to move your body around. Now, even though we have fewer smooth and cardiac muscles, their automatic jobs, like pumping your blood and digesting your food, are absolutely crucial for keeping us alive. So, from walking to class to smiling at a friend to your heart that's beating right now as you're listening to this, your muscles are always at work for you. And that leaves us with one final thing to think about. How are you going to use your 600 engines today?